There we go. Welcome back to the Absurd Show with Sardor and myself, Andrew here. How we doing today, everybody? How you doing, sir?
Good, good, good. We need more energy, Andrew.
More and more energy. That's all that we ask for. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna hop right into today's. Keep it nice, fun, and casual. Let's see what we got prepared for us to discuss. I made sure that we got this one included. I love this. So, have you heard of this before, Sardor? About Cloudflare's lava lamps?
No, what is that? Like on a wall that are used to help?
It's an awesome story. So, everybody doesn't believe it. That's where this tweet comes from. Wait, does Cloudflare really have 100 lava lamps in a wall that are used to create random encryption keys? So, what Cloudflare, because how much data they have, how sensitive it is, everything that's in there in the back end. You know, when Cloudflare goes down, half of the internet goes down, right?
Yeah.
So they thought, what is the most unique thing that can be continuously adapted? And actually, the answer was lava lamps because how they flow, they never flow in the exact same direction. You know you've seen a lava lamp before, right? So
I'm trying to. I'm actually literally GPTing that right
I'm gonna
now.
pull up right now just in case.
And I just use GPT as a verb, by the way. Yeah. For the first
Yeah.
time, kind of naturally came in.
So
GPTing this instead of
simple.
Oh,
There it
these.
is.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely seen
Yeah.
these. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
So this is
So
their encryption keys, really?
they have 100 of them on the wall, and because of how unique each one flows, the encrypted keys constantly change. It's one of
That's
the
on
most.
websites. They create
No, they have
virtual
it in
lava
their
lamps.
office. They have it in their office, and they have cameras watching it.
No fucking way.
Yeah,
Wow. They have physical lava lamps that create encryption keys.
the
So
cameras.
if the lava lamps physically are damaged, that damages their security?
Uh, I haven't looked that deep
Dude,
into
that's like it must be like, yeah, protecting that
also.
office really well. I mean, is their company really all dependent on a physical 100 piece of physical lava lamp that's in their office? Really?
I'm
Not even in a
assuming they
data
got a
center?
backup. I'm assuming they got a
I'm
backup.
sure they have a backup. I think that's a gimmick. My take is like that's a brilliant idea, but I think they could virtually simulate that whole thing. The physical representation of it is more like a symbolic gimmick that they put on the wall just to kind of like make it fun. But they couldn't realistically just have that as a
They do. They do.
what? 100 photos of 100 lava lamps into random data units. So this is virtual or what?
Is what virtual?
It's physical?
Yeah, they're physical lava lamps, and they have a.
No, I'm sure it's a gimmick, man. I'm sure it's a gimmick
It's
where
not.
they just put that as a symbolic thing, but they could simulate this whole thing. No, but if so you're telling me that if their office gets burned down, the whole company's out. That can't be true.
I'm sure they have a fail-safe plan for it, but it is the most unique that because here's the thing: if you say they simulated this with virtual lava lamps, there's got to be some algorithm behind those lava lamps
Right.
and how they move. So this is a
Oh,
physical.
then that becomes like hackable, but this is not hackable.
Exactly, exactly.
Shit. That's actually
It-
kind of brilliant and scary and actually unbelievable that a security first company would do this is actually wow, that's actually brilliant and absurd. I think we should do like absurd levels on the show. I think like I would give this a level 7 out of 10 on absurdness.
Yeah, I'll go 8.2. I'll do it.
Yeah,
Portland,
yeah, I think
Portland,
that's a strong 8 too. Yeah,
yeah,
I think so too. That's a wow. Yeah, for that scale, I think yeah, that scale deserves an 8 for sure.
yeah, yeah. And that is interesting. My curiosity is piqued on what you brought up. Is what if somebody takes over, destroys their
Yeah. That's
office?
what I'm saying. Like
We'll have to follow
the
up
whole
on.
internet goes down.
Yeah,
Like with AWS, you couldn't do it because it's in multiple places, but this is like the whole thing is in one place. I'm sure they have a backup that simulates this and whatnot. I don't know.
I think
They
we
must
gotta
have done
go.
a little deal with Amazon where Amazon also stores in their data center as a backup. And like,
They got extra lava lamps.
yeah, that's funny as hell.
We gotta go check out the Cloudflare headquarters.
Yes, I'll probably never let us into that.
This is huge. Apple versus Epic. This was here in the last couple weeks. We should have been a little bit more on top of this. I know this was huge for the app development space, the mobile app development space. So something we've consistently always brought up with our clients going through discovery, when we talk about the monetization model, the commercialization, that Apple and Google take anywhere from 15 to a 30% rev cut on in-app purchases. But Sardar, you want to tell everybody what happened here recently?
Yeah, so it looks like they been wow. I mean, I have to dig deeper into this. From what I'm seeing, unbelievably, it looks like now they are supposed to allow you to give a link to your users to subscribe outside of the app, right? For in-app purchases. Because first of all, let me distinguish between an in-app purchase and a regular purchase real quick. So the in-app purchases are virtual purchases for a subscription or enhancement to an app, right? It's not a purchase of a physical item or a service. So like Uber, Instacart, those things are not taxable at 30%. That would have been ridiculous, right? That would have eaten up the whole thing. So, but anything where you upgrade, like for example, Spotify Premium, that is, although they have costs on licensing the songs, they still like taxable 30%. So Spotify actually does not allow you to subscribe on the app, nor does Netflix, but they can't even explicitly say, go on our website to subscribe. When you go on Spotify regular and you're trying to upgrade to premium, all they say is like, sorry, you can't upgrade on the mobile. We know it's not ideal. Until now, because now, for the first time in history, you can actually say, hey, here's a link. Go subscribe on the web if you don't want to pay the 30%, which damages their whole fucking business model. They print money on this. They have been like making billions and billions of dollars. Like that's one of the reasons why they're a $1 trillion company. And I think it was 2020 or 2021 when their digital purchases revenue surpassed their physical sales revenue. Yeah, like of iPhones and all the physical items. So they're making more money digitally. And by the way, Steve Jobs predicted that back in 2005. There's a video where he said one day Apple will make more money from digital purchases. We're actually a software company. We're not a hardware company. The only reason we do hardware is to actually, protect our software. So software runs better on our hardware. That's the only reason we do hardware. But that's a side note. But here, yeah, this is a historical moment for app developers, for anybody who builds apps, because so many of our clients freak out when they hear 30%. Are you kidding me? So now, and you know what's interesting? One time, I spoke with somebody at Audible, a friend at Audible, and Audible, for a very long time, did not allow you to subscribe through Apple Pay and on the app, right? And then couple years ago, they just started allowing that. You can subscribe to Audible on the phone. And she said they started getting more revenue in total from that move, even with the 30% cut. They're still making more money.
Yep, that's a friction point, right? People
exactly
heard it from somebody the other day. They're like, I love just clicking, my Face ID, subscribe, pays for it, everything. Smooth.
Yeah, it makes it super convenient, but 30%, man, that's a huge cut, right? Even though that was still beneficial, to do that. But now this will actually, dude, because you can do Apple Pay on the web too and not pay the 30%, because Apple Pay does not mean 30%. Apple Pay is simply a payment processor. That's what most people confuse as well. They think Apple Pay means Apple takes 30%. No. You can pay with Apple Pay for digital, physical goods, anything. It's just a payment processor, right? So you can still do one click, all that Face ID experience, but now on the web, that's it. I mean, it's actually, I kind of feel bad for Apple. Did Apple's stock probably just drop a lot, right?
I think it dropped a little bit here, and of course this wasn't something that they did on their own. The courts forced them, and the person behind the other side of that, or the company I should say, is Epic Games. So Epic Games, everybody was saying, were the only ones that had the resources to take on the Apple behemoth, and they won because when they had Fortnite in the App Store, there was a huge battle going on. All the money that Epic was losing out on, 30% cut. And to add on to that, everybody was ready to go for this. It was going through the courts. Spotify, the next day, if not the same night, posted, you can now subscribe in app. Here you go. Goes through like a Stripe link. Stripe was all over it. They had graphics ready that said 30% versus 2.9%.
Really? Did Stripe really do that?
Yes, yeah. And
I thought they were friends.
No, they were ready for it. The legal terminology was that Apple is not allowed to restrict anybody from sending people to alternative payment methods.
Yeah, wow. But another thing I heard right before this pod, you know what happened with Fortnite? right? This
What?
whole thing started out with Fortnite. When Fortnite said, we're going to let people subscribe, and they gave a link, and they were kicked out of App Store. Remember back when this whole scandal started a few years ago? Then they sued them. They won the lawsuit and all that. That triggered... Apple did some kind of change back then. I think they allowed people to subscribe on the web. That wasn't even an option. You know, not only could you not say it, you couldn't actually charge people outside, even if they figured it out themselves. Yeah. That was Epic's, win there, right?
Yeah.
But now they have a second win when they're like explicitly allowed to like say it even. But Fortnite got kicked out again today from App Store.
Really?
Yeah, they just kicked them out. They posted Fortnite is out of App Store where they kicked us out. This happened like an hour ago. Today on May 16th. Yeah, they got kicked out of App Store again. So that to me is not justifiable. How are they just? This is just like
sounds like a little retaliation.
Yeah, that to me just sounds like a fucking scandal that just it's not even like it's just like emotionally, you did this to me, I'm gonna do this to you. Like
wild.
little kids fighting. I could not believe like a $3 trillion company does that. That's fucking wild. It's just they took it personally. I'm
gonna have to look into that, and we're gonna have to pick up and see what's going on with that.
Yeah. This drama has to go on. Yeah, we're just here with the popcorn.
I'll give this one a 7-8 on the absurd scale.
Yeah, I think to me this kicking them out of the App Store, that is I would say a strong 8 as kicking them out of App Store. This whole situation I think is somewhere in between of like, I don't know, probably a 7, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get our scale. We gotta figure out what our scale is.
Yeah, we gotta visually show that.
All right, let's roll into the next one. From idea to app, a practical framework. So a little bit more thought-provoking here. How an idea becomes an app. Idea, who has the problem? Problem, what's the simplest solution? Solution, what screens do we need? Screens, what does each one do? Actions, what needs to be stored or processed? Usage, what's missing or confusing? I like that simplified breakdown right there. I think that's a really good way to put it. What do you think on this, Sardar?
That's a potential process. That's probably how vibe coding platforms work and think anyways. You might think like too highly of them, but the back end might be such a simple, kind of like a scenario like what you described right now, right? That's interesting. We probably turn that into a process of our own as well, like when we do scoping.
Yeah.
Idea to scope to, you said what, wireframe screens, right? That's but in reality, building the right app and not fucking it up is like all about thinking of what ifs, thinking of edge cases. That's, I think, what's missing in this equation, like all the what ifs in between,
Or like, there's that at the end here. What's missing, quite literally, but I don't think that's something you do at the end, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's what we try to think of all the what ifs. Like we have business analysts here that try to think of all the what ifs. It's just the other day we were in the office with a client and like there were so many what ifs, and they're like, oh, that's right, we didn't think about this. We didn't think, oh, that's a brilliant question. It's a brilliant question. Every time, like, oh, we just spared them a problem. So.
Love that. So then question for you, would you consider that the most difficult, hardest part of this? Or, between idea, problem, solution, screens, actions, what would you say is the most important or most difficult part of the process?
I think that's definitely in the top 3 of the process. Second, I would say, is also figuring out the UI, UX and making that intuitive, right? So like one thing is to deliver functionality, another thing is to make it easy for people to use and discover, like what we were talking about yesterday. I'm not going to call out the name of the product, but like you showed me one feature that was really cool, but to me I was like, it took me a second to figure it out and actually had to ask you what this feature does. And so to me that, like, all right, they built the feature, it works, but as a user, is it intuitive? Like the reason we all love iPhones, even though Android's always had more functionality, is because iPhone is just for, it's easy to understand. It's so obvious, right? And make it obvious.
That same concept applies to marketing too. You could have the best product in the world, but if no one's finding you, no one's
exactly
the right path.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not about the best products. It's about the best known product, right? So then the product has to be just good enough to serve the market. It doesn't have to be the best product. So, but Apple, I think, wins with both. They do great marketing, and their product is actually really good. I mean, better than anything else out there in terms of mobile and computer software. So I think a lot of people agree. Hopefully, that's not going to make a debate in the comments on Android versus iPhone. As usual. But
Beautiful. It's a good one. Let's look at the social growth hack, creating content about creators. We get a lot of text here. This is an interesting one. I'll read through it here relatively quickly. Andrew Humerman, Dickie Bush liked my content. To me, that shows the massive opportunity with socials right now. You can reach accounts with 10,000x followers than you just by creating content about them, which means you can literally reach anyone on the platform. And the craziest part, you don't even need to tag them, or at least I didn't. Doesn't mean you shouldn't. That's how crazy good the algorithm is getting. So applying this to business, and we'll go word through word on the next one here, but looking at some of the leaders in your industry or in ancillary industries, calling out their success journeys, sometimes not even tagging them, I see as a really good tactic for growth on social. And this comes from actually one of my friends here that's a ghostwriter himself. Met him at our office, Sardor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's your take here? Social.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think definitely one of the best ways to call anybody's attention is like, here's what most people don't realize about like reaching people is like everybody's reachable. Just have to figure out how and where. Like for example, remember how Clubhouse was taken off 2020? I was able to meet and talk on audio chat with so many people that were otherwise unreachable because the platform was new and I was one of the first couple thousand users, and I would drop in to those different rooms and like chat with them and get an opportunity to reach them like that, right? So that's one other way also to reach these interesting people. Another thing is that, yeah, even on the platform where it is kind of crowded, if you write about them and if you write a meaningful thing, they're going to pay attention to it. They're going to actually notice you. Another thing is, I think, is like commenting on people's on people's posts. A meaningful comment that's also frequent on their posts is going to definitely put you top of mind. And when you do reach out to them on DMs as well, I think they're going to subconsciously remember you. They're like, oh, I see this guy a lot. And so definitely it's a golden time to be able to like reach anybody and get your message across. Even people like Mark Cuban are famously known for like responding to emails, right? Randomly. Yep. So
great time to be a reply guy.
100%. Yeah. Well, should be sponsored by Reply Guy IO.
Yeah. On to the next one. This is a continuation here of the growth hack. We talked through this, so any questions stand out here that you'd prompt any additional thoughts from you, Sarah?
For what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, we got the questions up here on the screen.
I'm not seeing your screen, by the way. It's been a minute.
I'm sharing my screen.
I'm not seeing it.
That's would make sense.
I was like, why did you stop sharing? I thought you didn't prepare slides for us, so you're just pulling up random tweets.
It says sharing this tab to Riverside right now. I could tell that you weren't seeing it.
I was just like very attentively listening to you, but no,
yeah,
I'm not seeing
it's all sharing on my side. Let me try to restart this share here. See if that helps. I had a feeling
some kind of holding button. Yeah.
You seen it now?
There we go. Yep. Social growth hack. All right. Creating content about creators. How can content about creators be a growth strategy? How does writing content about influencers amplify reach? What's the psychology behind the audience spillover? Can small creators consistently attract larger audiences this way? What are the best practices for writing social media trends ethically? All right, so I guess we're becoming social media experts now. You got to put a different hat now, Andrew. Do you have a third hat for this?
My social media hat.
Yeah, what's your social media hat at? There we go. This is the hat we got to put on, yeah, for the time being. So, like I said, writing content about influencers, I think, yeah, definitely. You write on their audience, like you tag them. Yeah. You get attention of their audience 100%. That's how podcasts work as well, right? We noticed, like, one of the best podcast growth strategies is to invite guests, which we've been sleeping on, but we're going to start doing.
Yep.
So every time, you reach somebody, you're delivering value to them. It's not like you're just writing on their audience and that's all. You're delivering value to them. You're writing about them. You're amplifying their reach. But also, it's a win-win, right? So that's what I love about it. Can small creators consistently attract larger audience this way? Probably, yeah, especially with new algorithms. Like, it's not about the amount of followers you have. It's about the actual reach you can get through the quality of the content. So content quality, 100%.
All right, let's roll into... This is an interesting topic. AI in colleges. Symptom of a broken system. This has been hitting the news a little bit lately. All the college students are turned to AI. And college professors, teachers are saying it's broken. So the tweet we have here, please don't act surprised that kids are using AI. in college. Most are only there to get a degree in hopes that they won't be forced to work for minimum wage for their entire life. Capitalism has turned higher education into a means to an end. So, zooming out from that, my take on this is, and we've talked about this and feel this sometimes too. When you outsource your brain to AI, you're constantly using AI, you're not critically thinking, you're not deeply learning. So I see this as a big problem in colleges of them using AI for everything and just getting through with their B's or their C's or whatever it may be. And there's less and less value in the college education system is kind of my take.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like right now being in college. Actually, every time I speak to students, I always ask them about AI, like how they're getting away, and most of them are saying, "Yeah, we're just getting away. We're figuring out how to do this. So much college is so much easier these days." They say, right? So I'm like kind of jealous in that way. But look, I do agree with her to an extent. I think you still do learn,
Yeah.
and if anything, look, what does college? To me, what the value of the college has been is like it prepared me to be able to like get things done by deadlines, being responsible, right? So, if you're getting shit done with in college and the shit is still acceptable, right? And if you do this, then what is it going to teach you? To do the same thing at your job. And again, at the job, if the thing is acceptable, then why not, right? At the end of the day, I don't care if we prepared something using AI, but at the end of the day, the result is the same. I don't care. I don't care if you use your own brain or outsource it to AI. Actually, if anything, I tell everybody, use AI. So I think this is not a bad thing. There's still other values in colleges, especially the top tier colleges. I think it's been not a secret that it's not just about education that you get there. It's about the circle that you get into with college, right? Yeah. And the better the college, the better the circle usually. Because you're getting into the circle of people who have been able to crack the code of admission ratings and the percentages and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So that I think is fine. And if anything, again, this is just preparing you for real world. If anything, colleges should just accept the fact that AI is here. And if anything, let's actually make these kids power users of AI.
Yes.
Let's encourage them to use AI to get the assignments done.
That rolls right into my thought, because then it turns the question on its head. If the teachers, the professors of the schools are complaining about people using AI, but with that thought you just said of preparing people for the new world of AI, and colleges are restricting that, they're doing a disservice to those students and their
100%. If anything, they should actually, consider that everybody's going to use it. Just assume everybody's going to use this AI. If I were a teacher, that's what I would assume. I should, as a teacher, should learn these AI tools myself, and I should assume they're going to use AI and not be mad about it. But if anything, be like, hey, why didn't you use this AI tool? Like, Johnny, we could have done this assignment faster. And make the assignments a little bit harder as well. Like, for example, no computer science professor would assign building a mobile app in 24 hours to any student, because that's kind of unreal. But now they could say, hey, go vibe code this in 24 hours. Yeah. That's going to get you more ready for real world. Wow. That's what I would assign. That's the type of professor I would be today.
Yeah.
I would be, actually, I think, and colleges should introduce new classes too, like vibe coding classes, vibe marketing classes, AI video editing tools. That's the type of schools that will thrive. In this economy.
Yeah. And you talk about the experience that they may have or should have, these students, and I think that goes back to what AI is going to do in the college academic space. It's going to separate the doers from the coasters, because it's going to allow those people that truly want to learn. I think as an adult, you have a lot of say in what you make of your college experience, of getting out there, doing different things, getting involved in clubs, you name it.
Yep.
I think AI will help separate the doers from the coasters.
100%. So yeah, we should double down on this. She has a point here too, by the way, but let's not get too dark there. College still has value. It's just as long as they upgrade, we good.
Agreed. Well, what do we have here? That is
There we go. Another one? God damn it, dude. You get older every time. How do we rate this one? I look more Indian every time. You look older every time.
I look a little Irish too with that orange beard.
Why is my laptop just like tugged in? I think James is having so much fun with this, dude.
We need to get you one of those buckles for your laptop.
That's actually a great idea if a laptop can hang like that, you know.
And you post that as the thumbnail this week. I don't know.
100% we should. All right. I gotta hop here too.
Yeah.
Great pod today, Andrew.